Welcome to Mondays with Mondene, where we explore topics that shape our lives and communities, especially the communities that are marginalized. Today we'll be talking about a little bit of everything, especially what's happening in the world around us. Oh, and we're excited to have returning to the podcast tonight, Carl Wolfson, comedian, author, ice skater, and ex-talk show host. And I'm your host here tonight, Edie Mondene. But before we begin, do you know where your loved ones are? This is usually a good time to check in around the dinner table. It's always good to know what's happening in the lives of those that we say we care about. To start, I'd like to remind everyone to send prayers and positive energy to our friends in Maui tonight. The devastation there is too difficult to imagine, and what those families are experiencing is heart-wrenching. Hey, Carl, let's talk about you for a minute or so, and what makes you an expert on the world stage.
Well, thank you for bringing up my ice skating career. First of all, I got the silver medal at Lake Placid.
Yes, I remember. I was there.
Yeah, I'm very upset still because the gold medal went to Jackie Gleason. He did a double axel, and I'm still pissed about that to this day.
They don't
so
even
thank
know
you.
Our audience doesn't know who Jackie Gleason is.
Don't even know who Jackie Gleason, the
one
great
of the
one
classiest big men on earth.
Absolutely.
A dapper dresser and a hell of a comedian.
See, that's why I like to do your podcast. You know the references. You know them all.
You know what was the Honeymooners?
Yeah, Honeymooners. That's right.
Oh my!
That was a great show, and what made it great, I think, was Jackie was always boastful, all the bravado, but his wife and Art Carney brought him down to size.
Yeah,
right?
wasn't his wife named Alice?
Alice.
Yeah.
So
Alice.
And always at the end, he had to realize that being boastful and being too full of himself was not the way to go for his marriage or in life.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lesson for all of us to learn.
It is. And if you could get a hold of some reruns of the Honeymooners, man, I tell you what, you'll do yourself a favor. Let's talk about the Maui fires.
Let's talk about it.
The recent Maui fires have been a major concern. Can you give us an overview of the situation in your mind and the extent of the damage caused by the fires? What have you seen?
Well, first of all, you're right to like everyone, to feel for everyone affected. There's last I saw there were 63 dead, and I used to go to Hawaii a lot to
Do you
perform.
think the count is going to get bigger?
Well, probably will get bigger, but here's the overall picture. Here's the bigger picture, ED,
Okay.
is that all of these extreme weather events are predictable. The way climate change patterns have changed the world in which we live. The reason, as I understand it, is these droughts are more common. The droughts soak moisture out of the ground, so kindling, fires happen. It happens here in Oregon, it happens in Canada, it happens in Washington, it happens throughout the West. Because of drier conditions in our forests, forest fires are more frequent and more severe, and the winds from the hurricane whip it up. This is all predictable. The temperatures off the coast of Florida just hit 101 degrees. When you have hotter water and a higher sea level, that means that these hurricanes go from Cat 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 quicker. Now, who's responsible? I think the people responsible are the ones who ignored the science of climate change for all of these decades.
I agree.
Jimmy Carter, in 1978, laid out renewable energy plan for the future of this country. He lost the election in 1980. What did Ronald Reagan do? He went up and took the solar panels off the roof of the White House, committed this country to fossil fuels again, which is the worst thing we could do. So it takes the wisdom of someone like Jimmy Carter and others who have been telling us we're destroying life on this planet.
They didn't take Jimmy Carter serious enough. And I think that he was one of our best presidents.
Yep.
But that's another. Wildfires are becoming increasingly common,
of course,
as you just talked about.
Of course. The world is on fire, and so much of it has to do with climate change, right?
Yes.
So let's be, and Jimmy Carter saved more land in Alaska, put it away for future generations. The governor of Alaska, Mike Dunleavy, a Republican, he doesn't believe in climate change, doesn't believe in science. He says, if the glaciers melt, we'll just we'll help ourselves to more fossil fuel. That's the wrong kind of thinking, okay? And we ought to think about that while Jimmy Carter is in his last days on this planet, a man who was a Christian with a capital C and followed the message of Jesus Christ, not like these fake evangelicals who are supporting Donald Trump. That's just my riff on it.
Well, I don't want to get in trouble talking about those evangelicals. Talking about now, bringing us to now, how we've really messed up. Are there any specific measures that we can take to prevent or mitigate the impact of such fires in the future?
Absolutely. And, the Paris Accords set targets all over, and a lot of countries are doing pretty good with those targets. And under the Biden administration, we got those targets in sight. One great things that Barack Obama did as president of the United States, unprecedented, to get all the countries of the world to agree to establish climate goals where we keep the CO2 levels down.
Yeah.
Trump said, the hell with that.
Yeah.
Now we got a president, Joe Biden, who is back to what was set out by the climate accords. That's the only way we solve this thing, is through world action. And there are a lot of great countries. We need to stay on that path.
What do you think the bottom line was for Trump to pull back so difficult? So hard?
Because Trump's whole thing is to look tough. And to him, capitalism looks tough. The more money you make, that's his value system, ED.
Yeah.
He was given everything by his birthright. He went to boarding schools, went to an Ivy League school. Did he learn anything? No. All he learned was power and money. Those were and women. Everything that he can control that he thinks makes him a big guy, an important guy. None of those values are values we ought to follow as a country, because it's just runaway capitalism. It's the same thing as his runaway masculinity. It's a lot of BS. And if you elect a president like that, that's the country you're going to have. I want the country that Joe Biden leads, and I think you want the same country.
I do. The assassination of an Ecuadorian presidential candidate shocked many.
Yeah.
Can you provide some insight into the political climate in Ecuador?
Well, I'll tell you,
leading up to
this particular candidate actually had been jailed in Ecuador because he was highlighting the corruption of the existing government. Now, they're saying that Colombians were involved in the assassination, but this is a guy who has stood up against the kind of corruption that... What does it do, corruption? It keeps people in power with power and money, and it prevents ordinary people from having a chance at democracy.
Yeah.
So I think my sense is, from what I understand, that this guy was assassinated because he's rocking the system.
Yeah.
Okay? And you know as well as I do, through your long life and my long life, that those at the top are going to keep their power, keep their money. You know, I was just saying to Dion before we went on, one of my most favorite quotes is from Frederick Douglass, who said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. You have to demand your basic human rights. You have to demand an environment that saves humanity. You have to demand these things." And I think this candidate who was assassinated, from all I understand, was demanding an ounce of justice, social and economic, for the people of Ecuador. And, his assassination, it ought to spur people on to his cause. The same with John Kennedy or Robert Kennedy or Martin Luther King. Yeah. We hope that the good of the assassination can be that what he fought for lives on.
Well, everything that has a life beyond what we're fighting for that is good has to have a sacrifice.
That's right.
And God bless the people in Ecuador right now.
Right.
Moving along, I want to talk a little bit about moving along.
You said I was a comic, and you got me so worked up that I haven't done any jokes yet. So
we'll hold those for a little bit. Listen, in a broader context, what challenges can countries face when political violence enters into the electoral process?
Well,
this is happening right now here in the United States.
John Kennedy said because when he was president throughout Latin America, we had a lot of dictators from the 50s. And he said, those who make peaceful change impossible make violent revolution inevitable. I think any country that doesn't provide for the common good, is going to have trouble. The problem we're facing right now from the right wing, to be honest with you, is for 35 and 40 years, people who were Republicans back in the day, maybe Eisenhower Republicans, they've been radicalized by Rush Limbaugh and Fox News. They've had a lot of BS put in their head that you and I, Edie and Carl, are the enemies of democracy.
Oh, yeah.
We're the ones that are going to take away their vision, their myth of America. Our vision, in my opinion, and I know you'll agree with this, is we want the ideals of America to eventually come into fruition. Keep our eye on the prize, that it's never been an equal country for marginalized people. We just want the vision that was laid out for all of us, as Dr. King said, to be realized. That's all we want. We're not taking anything from them. We're asking for equality for all, but it's framed by Trump and the people that it's always they're the oppressed now. Nonsense. Everyone should be equal.
Dr. King reminded us that there was going to be an unsettling force that was coming up on the horizon.
Right.
And he told us that it was no longer going to be about equal rights. It was going to be about human rights.
That's right.
And that's what's center stage today. When we talk about human rights, we're going to talk about Ohio voters.
Right.
And the abortion issue that happened.
And we're talking about immigrants who want to come to this country and not be hassled by the right wing, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And in Ohio as well. Ron DeSantis, just let me, before we get to Ohio.
That's okay.
Ron DeSantis, to me, is in a way more evil than the clown Trump, because Ron DeSantis' whole program is to take, I said this last time on the podcast, to take the story of African Americans, to take the story of LGBTQ Americans and hide them, and take the story of immigrants and hide them, not let us have our rightful place.
Wow.
What did he do? He flew 48 migrants to Martha's Vineyard. I have to tell you, Democrats have finally retaliated. A plane just landed in Florida with 48 of Herschel Walker's children. Yes. So I think he's getting best. See, I got a joke in finally. I got a freaking joke in finally. The old line: if men had babies, abortion would be a sacrament. Look, I'm a person talking about Ohio. I want the fewest number of abortions possible, and I think Democrats do too. But you cannot say that women don't control their own body if you also say they can't have birth control, they can't have autonomy, they can't have a voice in their medical care. And this is what the right wing is saying. And make no mistake, this anti-abortion movement is led by men who want to control women, period.
The unsettling force looks a little like the face of the poor man, no longer just being the black man.
That's right.
He's the breadwinner for the 2.5 children household.
Right.
That's only a half paycheck away from poverty in Tent City.
And you are right to put the economic frame on the reproductive rights issue, because let's not kid ourselves. You could have a national law against abortion in this country, which is what the right wing wants. And those who are wealthy can get any abortion they want. They can fly to Canada. They can pay their money. But the poor women in this country, black or white or whatever color they are the ones who are penalized.
And those are the ones that are going to be paying the greatest price.
Right.
How does, in your opinion, how does this affect the African American community? I've got some ideas about that, but what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what I like seeing, like Reverend Barber in North Carolina. I think all of these things, ED, there's no political action or social action that doesn't have a counter punch. The reaction to this right-wing manifesto and Trumpism has been wonderful to see. People organizing, and what Reverend Barber has showed us, and we know this in Oregon, when marginalized groups band together, the LGBT community, single women, African Americans, immigrants, those who want their rightful social and economic piece of the pie in this country, when we band together, we are a force that cannot be beat. And one thing that I was telling my friend Paul Block earlier,
you just explained the unsettling force.
Yes, because I don't want the anger at Roe being overturned to dissipate. And Ohio shows us that people are more organized than ever. That is how we're going to win in 2024.
Yes.
We have to get out the vote. I don't want anyone to think, oh, Trump's a clown, he won't be reelected. He is as dangerous as ever. I want everyone coming out. I want women coming out. I want African Americans. I want those who not just groups. I want people who believe in equality and our values out, because what's at stake is democracy itself. They have tried to suppress the vote in every way possible. And Georgia and Raphael Warnock, Reverend Warnock, won despite the suppression.
Oh my!
Because the suppression just tells us we got to get out more and do better. They put a higher bar for us, but damn it, we're going to jump over that bar, and we have to outvote them.
And damn it, we're going to do it. The chickens have not only come home to roost.
Oh, they're roosting.
But they're laying eggs.
They're laying eggs.
And having baby chicks. What role might social and cultural factors play in shaping the opinions of Ohio voters and the direction of the abortion rights conversation?
I'll tell you one social current that I'm really especially, because I followed politics for a long time. Young people are voting in record numbers.
Yes.
Young people are voting in record numbers. It happened after Trump was elected. It happened in 2018, 2020, 2022. It happened in the Wisconsin Supreme Court election this year. It happened in Ohio just this week. Young people understand they don't want what's happening in Maui to be the future, where a great deal of this country and the world is uninhabitable for humans. They have a clarion call, just like generations before that were motivated by Dr. King and Robert Kennedy and other leaders, Franklin Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt, and before that, Frederick Douglass. You look at history. When those great calls went out, we answered the call. We have to do it again. My
God. By the way, you're looking at Mondays with Mondene, and our special guest tonight is Carl Wolfson, that iconic Olympic skater.
That's right. and a comedian who only got one joke in because I'm so passionate about everything I'm talking about. Can I tell you, I was just in Richland, Washington, which is a pretty conservative area. You know where it is?
Conservative.
Yeah, a lot of Trump signs up there.
Yeah.
I've been going up there since '88, and I just make them listen to me. But I was doing, this is Richland, I was doing my dog and cat material. A woman in the backyard, she had a lab. I said, what kind? She said, meth. So you know where, see, I got a second joke in right there. That's what I did.
Before we wrap up.
You're so good for me. You need to come to my house because you get me so worked up.
Oh.
I can tell why you're a preacher. Isn't a preacher's job to instill a fire and a spirit in people so they go out and preach too? Isn't that your
brother,
job?
Preach. We just say, amen, praise the Lord. Before we wrap up, I want to give you an opportunity to offer some thoughts on the importance of staying informed about the events that we've talked about tonight and engage. Wait a minute. One thing that we didn't talk about is this craziness about wanting to kill President Biden and what happened there.
The what of President Biden?
This assassination, this rumored assassination attempt on Biden's life.
The guy in Utah?
The guy in Utah.
Yeah. Well, look. I've said for years the right wing is playing with fire. I don't really see a lot of assassination threats coming from the left wing. You've got a lot of people out there who now, because of the internet, can go to their own little place, including the dark web, and they're fed this nonsense, and it's part of the radicalization of the basic Republic. Look, the basic Republican Party under Dwight Eisenhower said, we don't want a lot of federal government, but when it's needed to enforce for social and economic equality, Brown versus Board, we're going to enforce it. This Republican Party, they want no federal government. They want the federal government to protect their rights to accumulate wealth unchecked. But along with that, they're told, as we said earlier, that we are the mortal enemy to them. And they're also told to arm themselves to the teeth. You got more guns in this country than people. I was in Amsterdam in September. They have more bicycles than people, which is a healthier country, right?
I'm going to be riding a bicycle. I'm going to be riding one of those tricycle things.
Are you?
Because I'm too old. I don't want to fall.
Ride, preacher, ride. I'm going to go back to my ice skating career and use a tricycle, actually. So I'm looking forward to the next Olympics because Jackie's not there to prevent me from getting the gold this time. I'll tell you that. You have given me a mission, sir. You're going to see an old man on a tricycle on ice at the 2024 Olympics, and thank you for it.
Brown versus education it is a great reminder of today. Jim Crow never died.
Never.
He was Dracula.
Never.
And he sucked blood at night. Yep. And went back into the crypt in the daytime.
That's right.
And that's what we're seeing here in our society.
And, everything that look at Alabama right now. Even this conservative Supreme Court said, you've got to redraw your congressional district. You know what? They flipped the Supreme Court off. They give them they said another district where there's only one black majority district. They don't care. It's the same, they may not be out there with hoods lynching people now, but effectively they are doing the same thing. So many people in Alabama want to keep their power structure the way it is. They're dressed up differently. They use different rhetoric. But I'll tell you now, people like Tom Tuberville, they don't hide their white nationalist rhetoric. They're saying the quiet part out loud now. And this is a guy who was the coach at Auburn and in Mississippi. And it was mostly young African-American men that won games and titles for this guy.
Yeah.
And now it's like he refers to them as the people committing crimes.
Yeah.
He refers to them as a lower class of person because that is the way he has always thought. That's ingrained in his head. And the best thing to do is shine a light on it because you're right, it's Jim Crow extended. And until we flush this stuff out, the cancer will be with us.
Jim Crow on steroids. Man, it's always so. Hey, I got something for you.
What do you have?
Ta-da!
This is the gold medal I didn't win in Lake Placid. Damn it. Look at this.
In African culture,
really?
we carry our wealth with us, these beads.
Really?
And when we got to the different points of trading,
nice.
So our money, so.
Nice. Now, what country would this be from?
That's Ghana.
Ghana, okay.
Yeah, Ghana. And or any of them. We all carried our money the same.
That's nice.
And didn't have a lot of it.
That's good. You know what I hope? You know what a year from now? I hope Donald Trump is in an orange suit in a cell, and this is the only money he has right around his neck. And maybe he can sit there and contemplate what is of value in the world. That would be a comeuppance I'd love
Carl,
to see.
Do you really think that's going to happen?
Yeah. And by the way, all this BS, about he can't go to a cell, they're going to put him at Mar-a-Lago and put an ankle bracelet on him. Forget it. No person is above the law. Put him in the cell. Put the Secret Service outside to guard him. That man needs to be in a cell.
Wow.
Period.
You heard it tonight. Listen. We've got to go, and we're always.
Why do we have to go? Let's do 3 more hours.
Let's do 3 more hours.
I am so pissed about Lake Placid. I could talk forever.
Well, you know what? You could come back.
Okay. I'll be glad to come back.
We're always glad to have you with us.
All
now,
right, thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. We'll be back soon with more intriguing topics. And until then, stay curious and keep embracing the power of being a part of the conversation.
I love Ghana.
You love Ghana?
I do. It used to be called the Gold Coast when it was colonialized, but now people got the power.
If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends and followers. We love to hear your thoughts and suggestions. And by the way, I have a new book coming out.
What is it?
I don't know. It's called Maladies to Melodies. This is my memoirs. And I want you to help me make a choice. You see those? Tell me which one you like, the one on the right or the one on the left. Send your comments and send your emails and et cetera. This is my memoirs of my life, and it will be available to you in September. So we'll keep talking about that, and I want you to read. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a thing from Mondays with Mondene. And be sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube and join us there any time of the day. You don't have to stop watching just because it's Monday. Watch us every day of the week. A special shout out to our sponsors, Post Shines, Auntie and Tanti's Daycare Services, Adorn Electric for their support of this podcast. And you can visit me on Sunday mornings right here at Celebration Tabernacle in Portland, Oregon. That's 8131 North Denver. A special thank you to our technical staff, Dion, Robin, Andy, and Paul. Not one of them is is bigger than the other, and they're all standing tall. These are the guys who make this podcast possible. Until next time, stay mindful and stay kind. And remember this, it's always important to play your part and do your best for God and country. Thank you for watching, and God bless. Thank you, Carl.
Amen to that.
For being here with us.
Amen.
And you're going to come back, right?
Anytime, brother.
You promise?
Anytime, brother.
God bless you all.
Anytime, brother.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, I've got a real important announcement. I am so pleased to have finished my new book. It's called Maladies to Melodies. It's my memoirs, a story of my life, and all the things that have made me who I am. Listen, it's going to be one of these covers, and I'd like you to help me make that decision. If you like the one that has the piano on it or just my charming face, let us know in the comments so that we can take your choices into consideration. It's going to be available to you in September, and I'm looking forward to sharing my life with you. God bless.
Hey, it's time for you to come to Post Shine. Check out that catfish sandwich. Oh my goodness, is that the shrimp po' boy? Man, look at that chocolate chip cake. Man, I need to get over to Post Shines at 8139 North Denver right now because this food looks delicious. Or call if you'd like, 503-978-9000. And don't miss it, you'll be sorry.
In times gone past, we find ourselves making excuses so that people remind that, ooh, I've got to get home and tend to the brand new business. I need some time alone. Can't just wait until I'm finished texting on my phone.